Welcome to Living with Purpose with Todd Novaczyk. In this episode, Todd hosts Christine King and Sara Lieberman, daughters of New Perspective residents. In part 2, they discuss how transitioning their parents to a senior living community has had a positive impact on everyone's lives.
I think for folks, again, who are watching, I think what we're trying to do here is just give maybe a little insight. And you're doing such a great job of sharing your past, your feelings and emotions. And I think, and I speak to that as well, but I think that whole point of you don't want to get into a resentful situation. And let's talk a little bit more about when we do make the transition and they end up in the senior community, how you saw their lives maybe elevate and change. So could you speak to that maybe a little, either one?
I can again. My mom, she's such a people person, and she had all these large groups of friends, but she was always the one like kind of getting in her car and going and picking somebody else up, and they'd go for coffee or go to church or do whatever. And then when that freedom went away, and she moved then into the community, and she did move in as an independent.
Right.
That was one of the things that we really loved about New Perspectives, is that we could progress. She went in feeling, I'm independent, I'm still calling my shots, I just don't have to make my meals right now. It was just like a slow progression there, but she was very quickly then found that same freedom of walking down the hall and seeing somebody, or looking at the calendar and seeing that there was an activity, or the directors do such a great job of coming and knocking on the door and saying, hey, we're playing bingo, let's go play. She loved it, and so she was happy.
Yeah.
She was really happy.
I think your point about if we can identify there's a need. We know things are changing, whether it's the med issue or no food in the refrigerator or not exercising, not walking, like my mom sitting in a recliner watching Judge Judy. We know that's not good. Right. But so I think the whole point of getting into an engagement environment, and that's what I think more than anything, senior living, whether you come in as the independent or you come in as assisted living, needing some services, or even I need memory care, which is obviously more elevated, more time and energy, but they're experiencing the same lifestyle. They're engaged, they're playing games, they're reading, they're listening to music.
Because we did know, like, my mom was having memory issues, but not to the point that she still is not in memory care. Yeah. But once she moved into the facility, within a couple of weeks, I realized something that I didn't see before, and that was how lonely she was at home. So even though she was driving and being very social with her friends, there was a lot of hours being alone at home and eating her meals alone. And once she got to New Perspectives, I think her memory's improved since she's here, because there was that loneliness factor was not there for her anymore. And that was a crucible moment for us too.
That point, that's the number one issue, right? Recently, a couple months ago, and I don't remember what group of the government, maybe it was CDC or somebody in the federal government, they did a study, and they ended up saying the number one issue with our advancing seniors, which we have so many of, is loneliness. And I would agree with you, because like I said, my mom was doing the nosedive, and when she got from the wheelchair back into the walker. Why? Because she was getting physical therapy. They were working with her. She was going out for engagement, fun, and involvement. And I think that whole loneliness thing for my mom turned like this, and that's what I hear you say.
100%. Yeah. 100%. She used to, go to bed at like 6:30 at night. And now, once she's in the facility, sometimes she's up until 10:30 playing cards.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Does she win?
She doesn't know. She doesn't.
It doesn't
matter.
It doesn't
even matter.
She told you that I really won big last night.
Yeah. It is really. It's the community and the friendships that I think have been just a game changer.
Yeah, that's really great. Kris, just maybe in kind of wrapping things up, is there one or three things that you could recommend to somebody watching our podcast about dealing with a mom or a dad who might be a little feisty or a little bit defiant, that doesn't want to do exactly what you think is in their best interest, and anything you could say to that other adult child out there like me and like Sara?
I think when you get to the point where being by yourself is, my dad right now is afraid to be alone.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, when they get to the point where they're not enjoying their lives, right. Because you take the car away and now you've taken the computer away, and they just need to know that there's somebody there for him. Mm-hmm. The fact that he has a doctor, we are using the doctor that comes around.
Yeah, the rounders.
That's been wonderful.
That's a blessing.
I see that every month. I see how he's doing, and how he's progressing and everything. It's incredible to know that even if I feel guilty, if I don't go, he's okay.
He's okay. Yeah. And Sara, any thoughts you have on what would you say to one of the adult children out there dealing with this situation, and good, bad, or indifferent? I mean, what would you suggest?
I would suggest give yourself some grace. You're doing the best you can for your parent. There is no playbook for this. It's different for every single person and how they're going to receive it, and where you're going to know what's best for your parent, and they'll know. So I think in the midst of, the stress, the burden, trying to do everything you can for them, just give yourself some grace. And there's a lot of resources out there that you can, and that's how you kind of figure out what might be the next best step.
I really appreciate you saying that, because I think a lot of us as adult children do feel guilty, and we don't want to be resentful. We want the best for our parent, but I think that idea of just giving yourself a little grace, and it's a hard situation, and I know as a previous adult child of parents, it's hard to do that, okay, because I don't know that we're necessarily built that way or wired, and so thank you for sharing that idea about giving yourself a little grace and then moving forward. Any closing thoughts you might have, or any other suggestions you might have for other adult children?
To add on to what she's saying, I've been single my whole life, and I've had a very full life.
Yeah.
And very full of activities, and I do all kinds of things, and I had to totally stop when he hurt his hip.
Yeah.
But now I'm going back to those things, and it's hard for my dad to understand sometimes.
Yeah.
But he's finally getting to the point where it's like, yeah, I understand you need a life too.
You have a life
and you have
too.
to ask for a life.
Yeah.
In fact, one day I got so angry with him, I walked out on him, and the next day he was on the phone crying, I don't know what I'd do with him. But it's very frustrating.
Well,
it also is rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah.
It also is rewarding.
Well, I got to tell you, both of you obviously have done an amazing job. Your families, your siblings, everybody who contributed, and thank goodness that both your mom and your father are living life on purpose more than they did before. They're not as lonely, maybe not lonely at all anymore. And I think that really is what senior living can be about for many, many seniors. So thank you for coming in today to our studio here at New Perspective Senior Living. And I really, I can't thank you enough. It's just been great. God bless you both, your families, and your mother and your father.
Thanks for watching. We've got more great perspectives coming up in future episodes. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out.